If I were starting over in my 20s with no money or assets, here are the top 3 things I would do to get started in investing. Number 1, I would open a TD Ameritrade or an E-Trade account and immediately start putting in $25 to $100 a month and invest in index funds. I like VOO, VGT, and SLYV. Number 2, I would open a Fundrise account so I could start investing in real estate immediately. You can start with as little as $10 and I would add to this account immediately. This is a great place to get into real estate with very little money. And number 3, and this one is great, I would open an Acorns account. I love this app because you can set it to round up all of your little purchases. Then it invests that money immediately. I personally would set it to moderate risk. These are 3 great ways to get started with little money. Okay, so we have the plan. Let's go.
Here's how you're going to go from broke to wealthy. Let's be honest, you probably weren't taught about personal finance growing up in school or at home from your parents, but that does not mean you can't achieve financial success. Financial literacy is key and unlocks the path to wealth. So here's how you're going to go from broke to wealthy. The first stage is getting out of your broke phase. First, you need to focus on paying off high interest debt. Think credit card debt. Then find a stable source of income, then live below your means as much as you can. After this, you will transition into stage 2, security. In this phase, you will need to prioritize getting insurance coverage, focus on increasing your income, and making sure you have enough money saved up for emergencies. Think an emergency fund. The last stage is accumulation. In this phase, you will start long-term investing, building income streams, and improving your time leverage. What personal finance topics should I talk about next? Let me know in the comments.
The reason you don't have any money is not because you're spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on lavish things. It's because you're swiping your card on little things that are adding up. I noticed the biggest changes in my bank account when I looked at my finances at the end of the month and I saw I was spending $10 on matcha, $12 on Chipotle, $3 on lip gloss, $7 on Wetzel's pretzels at the mall. Like just stupid things that I did not need. 9 times out of 10, it was food. I do have a really bad habit of eating out. So when it comes to my spending now, if it is under $10, I'm not getting it. Obviously that's in reason. Like if I need gas, that's different. But if it's just like something quick that I'm like, oh, I'll just swipe my card, it's not gonna hurt, I'm not getting it. Because then you look back at your bank account and you're like, oh, I didn't go shopping this month, but I did spend $500 on food. Like I don't even know what else, just stupid stuff. So if you don't know why, but you feel like you have less money than you thought, I would advise you just to take a look at your bank statement. It's the end of the month. Take a look at your bank statement. I promise you there are like 15 to 20 purchases that you really did not need to make.
Everything I wish somebody told me about money in my early 20s. I was able to make my first million before I turned 30, but I would have got there a lot sooner if I didn't have to figure out all these things by myself. One thing that I did right was I made all my memories early. I traveled really young. I went to the club a lot while I was really, really young. What that meant is that I was bored of it by the time I was about 24, 25, and I used that time to learn and educate myself. But 2, I wish I knew this sooner, and I tell my siblings this all the time. Do not save your money. Put your savings into a mutual ETF fund and invest. I wish I knew this sooner because I would have been wealthier years earlier. Number 3 is start your own business or pick a career in an industry that easily allows you to make over 6 figures. The primary word being easy. Some industries have a lot of money flowing through and some industries don't. For example, the tech industry is very easy to make over 6 figures. So pick your industry or your niche carefully. Otherwise, you will suffer further down the line. And now I look back at all the cringy things that I tried in my early 20s, and the only thing I regret is not trying even more things. Don't be afraid to try. Don't feel like you're cringy. I don't even remember half of the cringy shit I did. All I know is that we got money now.
Here are the 5 bank accounts every person in their 20s should have. I wish someone had told me this sooner, so I'm telling you. Obviously, we're gonna start with the standard checking account. This is where your direct deposit is gonna go. If you need to pull money out of the ATM, this is gonna be that bank account. I keep no more than like $300 to $500 in my checking account. Next is gonna be a high yield savings account, and this is very different than a normal savings account. I do not recommend a normal savings account at all. And the biggest difference is the interest rate. So where you might get like 0.01% having a normal savings account at PNC, you can get anywhere to 3, 4, 5% with a high yield savings account. And when people are always saying you should have 3 to 6 months rent saved somewhere, this is where I put that money. Because it's not money I'll ever need immediately, but I can get access to it within like 1 to 2 days. Third account is gonna be your 401k, and this is where your employer puts your retirement money. Your employer usually chooses what bank this is gonna be, but you do have access to log in and make the investments yourself. If you're knowledgeable on it, obviously you can do it yourself. I'm not. So when I was working my 9-to-5 job, I would just call the financial institution where my 401k was at and ask them to do the investments for me. The next account is going to be your Roth IRA, and a Roth IRA and a 401k are very similar, but they're taxed differently. So the easiest way I can explain it is a 401k is what you're going to be taxed at when you're 65. So if you plan to be a millionaire at 65, you're going to be taxed as a millionaire. A Roth IRA is what you're going to be taxed at now. So if you're making 100k now, when you put the money in, you're going to be taxed as if you're making 100k. When you take your money out of a Roth IRA when you're 65, you will not be taxed again. And you're probably thinking, why wouldn't everybody just put their money in a Roth IRA so they can get taxed at where they're currently at? First off, your employer doesn't have access to that account, so they can't match you in any way, which a lot of employers do. Secondly, the government is smart. They have a limit on how much you can put into your Roth IRA. I think last year it was 7K, but I think this year it might be 6K. I'm not really sure. But similar to a 401k, this is also an account that you need to make investments in. Once you put the money in, that is not the last step. The money will just sit there. You need to invest it. And the financial institution you bank with should be able to help you with that as well. The last account is actually one that's really new to me. This is a brokerage account. And to my understanding, it's basically the same as a 401k account, but you can take the money out at any time. But I do think you're taxed differently on how soon. So if you take the money out in 6 months versus 6 years, you'll probably be taxed a little bit higher. So this is where I'm currently putting my money to buy a house. Like that's one of my big goals for when I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. So I'm starting now, so when it's time to make a down payment on a home, I'm not like scrambling to take out a loan. And I know this seems like a lot of accounts, it seems like a lot of things to keep up with, and especially when you're like tied for money, it can be very overwhelming. But even just $100 in each of those accounts will go a long way when you're 30, 40, 60. Like making small changes now can make the biggest difference later.
Get ready with me to take my new driver's license photo, and I'll tell you some of my money non-negotiables as a former Wall Street girly. You gotta cut the credit card debt. You're embarrassing yourself if you're flexing on what you can't actually afford. If you're swiping to live a lifestyle that's beyond your means, you're only setting yourself back. Financial freedom means working because you want to, not because you're stuck paying off mountains of credit card debt. Don't get sucked into consumerism. Yes, I'm a content creator, but I'm a creator because I choose to be. I'll never recommend a product that I don't truly believe will add value to the lives of my audience. But that's not everyone's mindset. There are creators who are promoting products solely for the check, and they don't care about you, the consumer. This is why it's so important to practice self-control and discipline with your spending. Get an accountability partner. It's easy to slip up when no one's holding you accountable. My accountability partner is my husband. We check in with each other, go over our budget, and align on our financial goals. If you don't have a spouse, find a friend who understands your money mindset and will keep you in check. Open a high-yield savings account like yesterday. If your money isn't earning interest, you're already behind. A high-yield savings account is one of the easiest ways to grow your money without lifting a finger. And the sooner you start, the sooner your money starts working for you. Learn the basics of investing. I don't care if you're not ready to invest yet. Learn the basics now. Whether it's real estate, ETFs, stocks, or bonds, you need to understand how these funds work, how they're diversified, and where your money will go when you're ready to invest. I can't do the work for you. I can only equip you with knowledge so that you can do the work for yourself. This is why I put together a comprehensive guide with essential strategies for saving, investing, and budgeting. This is your daily reminder that knowledge is power. And the more you know, the more control you have over your financial future. Stay healthy,